Okay, so now I'm going to, I guess, kind of like give my commentary to this episode. This is from season one, episode two, with my niece, Miss Riz, and a little bit of the background about Miss Riz. That's Mizzredz. We are uncle and niece in real life, and we're the same age. So during the time that my mother was pregnant with me, my sister was pregnant with my niece. My niece was born first, and then I was born. But I'm going to offer some commentary to this episode. So this episode first aired in 2020 during the pandemic. Um, and the crazy part about this episode that it was actually supposed to be a reunion episode with um, myself, Miss Riz, and Debbie B from Profound Intent. And Profound Intent was a hip hop group from DC that I was a part of, a founding member of, actually. So, you know, there's a history there. And the episode we filmed for this episode, but it didn't end up like how it should have turned out. And we would have eventually had like did our own. We would have did like a song, like you like recorded a track to come back and perform live and all that stuff with. But we didn't get to do that because everybody wasn't on board for whatever their personal reasons were, and frankly, whatever. But let's get into this episode. So she is my real life niece. We also was in a music group together called Profound Intent, and she kind of goes in on some very personal traumas. And at times you see me take the blame for a lot of things, which in retrospect was kind of unfair. But for the purpose of my growth, I'm happy that I allowed my niece to get out what she wanted to get out. But at the end of the day, I'm younger, even if so by 2 months, and I would say I was a bit more driven and a bit more ambitious than the rest of my group members, and I don't think people really always want to admit that. But here we go. So this is the episode that was.
Trying to understand who is Larry
Yeah.
as a person. The question is, what can you say to your old self? Like, if you look back at the Larry 2004 to 2019, you have to ask yourself, okay, what have I done? What changes have I made in my life? But have you found yourself? Think about it. Because two,
And so remember, she's asking me, think about yourself from back in the day to where you are now. At the time, this is 2020. So she, I had ran for office. I had been elected to um, some posts in the community. I had did a lot of things that a lot of people around me had not done. And so, we had this music group or whatever. And in 2009, one of our bandmates, um, parents passed away, unfortunately. And he was also our manager. And so, we're in this peculiar situation, like where she and I are uncle and niece, but we're also, we have our own family traumas, but then we also have the dynamic of like, hey, you went solo, or hey, you turned your back on us. Hey, like this is the group isn't where it should be or could have been because of who you are or who you weren't. And I think that was kind of unfair. So she was like, well, have you found yourself? I think I always knew myself, but I think have you found yourself kind of is like, did you ever get to become yet what we need you to be for us? Are you the version of yourself that we can get along with? Are you the you that works for us? And I think that that's unfortunate, but that's really what my life experience has been. That's really what Life as Larry has been for me. It's are you yet what we need you to be for what works for us? And if that makes you unhappy in the process, so what? But we're happy. And I was so ashamed to be selfish. But when you have that drive, when you have that ambition, when you got, when you gonna get it done, you got to be a little bit selfish because you know that's how you get it done. Yeah, you need a team, you need people who believe in you, but even that team and even yourself, you know you got to be selfish about you. The team has to be selfish about you, and it's the same thing as in the group. We got to be selfish about this group, but if we are not selfish about this group and we are individually selfish, then the group is not going to work. Um and I know I'm making sense. That sounds crazy, but I know I'm making sense.
2004, 2006, you know, those are times we in high school, you experimenting, you don't know who you are as a person. Growing up, you don't have, if you didn't have like that right foundation in your household, how can you
Yeah.
make the right decisions?
Well,
Like you
it was
have a
hard. It was hard growing up in that house.
if you have a parent, you have two parents,
And we're talking about, or she's talking about at this moment, growing up in the home with my parents, who are her grandparents. So my biological mother and father is her um, maternal grandmother and grandfather.
a mother and a father, they married, they live together. You have one parent that does all the work, that's dominant. Then you have another parent that doesn't work but doesn't say nothing. But it's like you have more respect for the parent that doesn't say nothing.
Then the one that was the
Love.
hard worker, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that person taught you morals, you know, the person that's quiet, the parent that's quiet, the,
Hmm.
and then,
And
but
she's talking about my
that
dad,
still didn't make Larry
her
Larry.
grandfather.
Larry still was trying to find who is Larry. Okay, my parents, they married, they happy, but the way they raising us is not normal.
Yeah.
Abuse,
Hmm.
mentally being abused. Words hurt. People say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is a lie. Abuse is you cursing that person with your words. You
Hmm.
know, and I feel like Larry was in bondage. It's like whatever I'm trying to do, I gotta keep it a secret. I don't want people to know. People gonna look at me different. Nobody's gonna look at you different.
I'm nodding my head, yes, but that was never the case. Like that was never the case. I was driven, I was ambitious, I had a dream, I was going for mines, and I was a part of this music group, and I wanted that group to be successful. Um, there were a lot of things I didn't know, but there were things that I did know, and there were things that I was growing into. And one thing about, if you've ever had a dream, um, when you are all in, you're all in. And so think about this now. She's critiquing me in at a time in my life where we're young. We're like 15, 16 years old at this time, this particular time that she's talking about. So we're young, and look at the expectations that are being put on me at such a young age. So we're not like at 25, 26 years old talking. We're not talking about me at 25, 26 years old. We're talking about me like as a teenager. And she already says that I grew up in a broken home, and she was had a front row to that because she's my niece. She's my parents' granddaughter. So you have that element, but then you also have these expectations that are being put on me at such a young age. So we're trying to get a record deal, we're releasing music, we're performing, and I hadn't gone into politics yet. So my biggest dream, my biggest aspiration at this time is making it as a recording artist. And so I mean, I'm with it and I'm nodding my head, but at the same time, like in retrospect, now 5 years later, I'm looking back at this and I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. But at the same time, it's like, hey, we're talking about a teenager. And you're asking me had I found myself yet, and that I was trying to hide something. I was never trying to hide anything. And I'm not sure if this is sexuality or if this is just me being outspoken. I felt like it was like a sexuality thing, but we'll see. Let me go back just a little bit.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is a lie. Abuse is you cursing that person with your words, and I feel like Larry was in bondage. It's like, whatever I'm trying to do, I got to keep it a secret. I don't want people to know. People going to look at me different. Nobody's going to look at you different.
Again, I have no clarity on what she means right there, right? But like I said, we're talking about someone 14, 15 years old at the time. So I don't know what bondage that could be. She also talked about growing up in an abusive house. Okay, but I was never trying to hide anything. I was who I was. I was driven. I was ambitious. I was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. I wanted to be a rapper, a songwriter, and we were doing it. So I don't know if that's like something towards sexuality or what. And I'm going to say, I will share in my commentary why I think she was talking about sexuality. But that just always, every time I review this episode for the seasons that we have coming up, I just always cringe right there. It's very,
because
that's
if
cringe.
you a person with confidence and love who you are, you're not gonna care about what people think. Right. Larry was the person that get angry. You're like, well, Larry, I don't like this word. What? That's it. You're like, oh, that's a target word. Don't say that. But what I learned from growing up with Larry is good times, doing music, writing songs, being real with me, saying, no, I don't think you can say this, but you can say that. I'm like, I can say that. That's how I can't say that. I can't say that right. I'm like, hold on. Somebody write my,
So in the group, I started the group, and actually the group, was myself and it was Misty. Her name was Johnny. And so we, my niece and I, we had been in the group when we were younger, like 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. We were in a group called the Platinum Kids. And then we had this own thing by ourselves called IC2. But there was this one summer when I started a new group. And it was myself and it was Misty. She was an R&B singer. She was a singer. And then we met Devin, and he's Debbie B. So we became Profound Intent, and we actually started out as a spoken word group. And so we didn't start out so that was the different thing. So we had grew up in music, but now we're like, I started a music group, Profound Intent, and I started a spoken word group called Profound Intent. So we were going around performing spoken word, and then we transitioned into becoming a music group. And so I was the person who wrote the songs, got the beats, or worked with the producers. Like I said, I had that drive, I had that ambition. It wasn't to take away from them, but who else was doing it? Like, who else was doing that for us?
Some of my words, you like, nah, he can't. Nah, I'll do it. I'll write her boss. Yeah, that's right. Sometimes.
Yeah. Only Devin could write.
I can get that, but I can't do this whole 16. So that's I was good enough for that. I mean, we did so much together growing up. Like, it was just you and I. Like, Uncle and niece, you like hanging out, same age. Having fun, doing music, doing stuff that we love, and I really missed that. I missed that fun, Larry. But when someone makes Larry mad, Larry gets angry.
Mind you, we never get into what things was making me mad, right? We never talked about what the things were that was making me mad.
Or, wants to be in control. I used to call you Beyonce. I said, well, he Beyonce, I must be Michelle, and Devin is Kelly. pick one. I must be like, what? You know.
No.
You know, and then we had friends who was talented and they want to come in.
Everybody was talented.
You know, I mean, we met so much talent, and I look back and say, dang, if we was just focused, or we had a mentor, someone who really could mentor us in music and believe in us, we would have gone like far. You know, we would have.
I'm about to agree with this. I'm about to agree with what she said. But in my hearts of hearts, it all goes back to, I don't know if it's a sense of entitlement, and I don't want to say jealousy. I don't want to say anything, but there is definitely ignorance in that statement, because the ignorance is that it takes drive and ambition to go from nothing to something, to go from with having no blueprint to being the architect. And that's truly who I was in Profound Intent. That's truly who I am as a person. I can go from not having any connections or anything that anyone else has to having everything. That's who I am. That's who I've always been. There are a lot of times and moments where I get in my own way, and so things are not where they could be. But you got to think about this. You're in a group, you are a teenager, and everyone's not always going to understand that your drive and ambition is to get us where we need to be. Some people around you are always going to look at it like you're trying to control stuff. You're trying to tell us what to do all the time. You're writing all the songs. You're picking all the music. But when you clock out, I'm still at work. And I think that's something that was always missed by my group, my bandmates. That's always missed. Is like you clock out to go and be a teenager. You clock out to go and enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm still writing. I'm still contacting producers. I'm still trying to get us to a place where we are getting the attention that we need. So I agree about having a mentor, because any aspect of your life that you have a mentor, of course, you have growth, you have more opportunity, you can be critiqued, and you can learn how to accept criticism, and you decide from there the things you want to do. I get that. I totally get that. But is it fair to know that you're not doing what I do and say I'm controlling?
And think if I had a mentor, someone that was actually guiding me on how to lead the group, right? Writing all the songs and then finally when I let up, Devin did some writing, and we finally got some shit that sound like some for the group. And I just
For
didn't
the
know how
group.
to let up.
For the group. Not that there was ever anything wrong with the things that I was writing, but since everyone had their attitude towards me, um, when I did let Devin take more of a front role in writing, things did get better for us, because now you had another input. You know, it's kind of like the Tyler Perry movies and stuff. It's like, dude, like, get a team, let some other people work with you. And so when you do that, you would almost always yield, a better quality work. And so of course that happened. And I'm not afraid to admit that.
And let go and trust. I didn't know how to trust my bandmate, my brother. I didn't know how to trust my bandmate, my niece. I didn't know how to trust y'all. You all had opinions, and I And what's funny,
that came from what? A parent that did not trust.
or did not let us have opinions.
It's crazy because we take on our parents' traits. You know, you're like, I don't want to be like that. But there's some traits that we do take. But I think the importance of this is you broke the cycle that he that angers you controls you. So when you allow people to provoke you, or you know, like, it could be anything. Someone could say, you know, Larry, I don't think you fit enough to run this or run that. And you know that you'd be like, what? That's a target word. You don't think I'm fit enough. What is fit enough? Give me the definition of what is fit enough. You know what I mean? If you allow that person to bring anger to you, they control you. Like, they got you. They like, yeah, I got him. Yeah, I got that black N-word.
Being in the group, and we would rehearse. You would want to do something a different way or have an idea, and I would accept the idea, but it always worked way back. It always worked itself back to the original way. And
That's true.
Yeah. Like I said, it was fun.
That's true.
I loved it. But I think, like, after a while, when your opinions or your ideas don't get heard, you like, well, is this profound intent or this is Larry's group? You know? So it's more like,
So remember, she came after, right? So it's me and Misty, me and Johnny, and then Devin. And then when we went from being a spoken word group to becoming this music group, then Mizz Redz comes in.
okay, why we can't do it this way? You know, it was like, let go. Like, you can't control everything. If somebody is building a house and you telling the man, hey, I want you to build it like this, and the man's like, I can't build it like that because it's not possible.
it's not going to stay up.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, you can't, we don't have control over everything. Like, I didn't care, okay, he wanted this way, I don't like it that way. But at the end of the day, we laugh, we joke, we listen to the song, we like, that's you, oh, okay. That's what I love. I didn't
I get a little credit right here, a little kudos to me right
care
here.
about, you know, the whole controlling thing. It was controlling, you know. You was abusing us, you know. But
I know, and I know, and for so long I felt like that, right? And then I found myself trying to have a solo career. The music sounded good.
Mind you, she says that I was abusing them, and I said I know. So I say I know right there because I was ambitious. I had this level of drive. I had this devotion and this commitment to seeing this thing through. So, in the process of doing that, at times I was harsh. I was very firm. I was very blunt. And I was very direct with everything about anything. And this show in 2020, I was very vulnerable. And mind you, I'm running for office at the time. And it had been all this crazy nonsense with these liberal lunatics saying crazy things about me and writing stuff about me. So at the moment, I'm like my most vulnerable because I want to turn the tide of the public perception of me. This is a very difficult conversation for me to have on camera. And if you know some of the background about the show, we recorded hours of conversation that I'm not sure if anyone will ever see it. or hear it. But then we looked at that stuff and we say, okay, we will share this much, or we will share these things. Again, this episode should have also included Devin. But if it included Devin, it would not be called like parents. Remember, he's not there. So the entire episode is reworked into what you see. It talks about the cycles of childhood and trauma, and how how who your parents are can impact you as you're growing up in relationships with other people. Bam, whatever. That was never supposed to be what this episode was about. But
so yeah, he gonna go solo. He gonna sacrifice.
I'll take it back to here.
Using us, But
I know.
I say I know because it's like at that moment, it's easy for me to play the villain. Not that I'm a victim, but to play the villain at a time where people already think certain things about me and don't even know this much information. And it would be more fair if you knew this information or had some more insight into this type of dynamic of my life, as opposed to just seeing my name on a ballot, knowing I'm running for something, or knowing that I'm trying to promote a song, and then drawing your biased ass opinion of me, right? So I'm saying I know because I'm strong-minded, I was opinionated, I was determined, I was driven, I was ambitious, and we was going to make it to the top, and shit was going to get done. And they were still being teenagers. They still wanted to, go to parties or go be athletic and do all the different things that teenagers do. And I was okay with not doing that because that's just how driven and ambitious I was. So at this time where I'm this most vulnerable to public perception, I caved to saying, yes, I know I was abusive, but was I abusive, or was I just this driven teenager that had a dream that wanted to get this shit done? Like, hello, like,
and
what we doing?
I know, and for so long I felt like that, right? And then I found myself trying to have a solo career. The music sounded good.
So yeah, he gonna go solo. He gonna sacrifice all of us in the group. He gonna be big.
No. Well, karma. But do y'all sometimes feel like y'all may have enabled it though?
Oh, it goes back to we the enablers.
No.
That could be true. No, because it's like, oh, don't do that because Larry don't like that. Oh, we started to protect you. So yeah, that play a part because we were so, but that was love. That's what people do when they love a person. And I think that because you didn't know how to love and you didn't know what love is, you didn't know, you like, well, I'm gonna do it this way. Oh, I got me. I always gonna have my.
I agree with what she just said, but that is not why I did things a certain way. I did things a certain way because I had that drive. I had that we gonna make it. Like, other teenagers don't understand that. So other teenagers, you're telling me what to do, and you're a teenager like me. We're the same age. We're in the same range of life right now, and who are you to keep telling us what to do? But if you understand the dynamics of having a dream and setting goals, that's not being controlling. That's being who you need to be to get things done. And the unfortunate part for me is that never clicked for them. Had that clicked for them, You can't put this on me. You can't put where we didn't end up on me. But because that never clicked for them, it's easy. Oh, we're gonna blame Larry. We're gonna blame LaPret because had he not been controlling, the group would be such as blah 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 blah. But that's not really it. That's not really what happened.
My back, but you can't be on this world by you can't have your back. How you gonna have your own back? You
That's
need
true.
somebody to get your back when you fall. Whether it's
Yeah.
God or some God putting somebody in your life, you always gonna need somebody. The question is, have you ever asked us how we feel?
Mm.
But like what you guys think?
Valid.
It was more like I wrote this song and Devin, you gonna see it. Reds, you gonna say it like this. You're coming inside the studio. And I was like, I don't know if I was mic fright. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna say this right. I give people
I was intense.
3 chances.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the first chance I'm gonna tell you, okay, I gave you 3 chances. I gave you more than that. It was like 100,000 and 20 million, but it was more like, okay, he hurt me the first time. I'm like, oh, he hurt me. That's my uncle. He loved me. We go back being cool. But then it's like a cycle. It's like once we cool for 3 months, then we mad for a whole year. Then a year go to 3 years. And I'm like, well, damn, what did I do?
Still happens till this day. Because we all have to be willing, and we can have a conversation. Like we can laugh together, and we see each other, we hug. We can have conversations. Comes to like why this group didn't make it, ain't just about me.
But then it was something that was so like I said, damn, he must have hated me so much
No,
that
never.
he just put me like under. And it's like, why
No.
would he want to do that to me? I'm just like caring, I'm not perfect because I do things, but I don't hear nobody tell me what I do yet. I be trying to find, well, what did I
do? We can always talk about what I did, what LaPret did.
But I love smiling and laughing. Like I wish that was my everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I couldn't wait over the weekends to come so I could go over there off the hill to come see you and Devin. Like that was my life. I never even thought about being married. Like I never thought about. I just thought about music. Like, oh, I heard this song. Oh, Larry, why we do this? Oh, that's.
I thought about kids, but I had never ever thought about marrying anybody.
That's it.
And then as soon as you say, "Hey, we can't do it," it doesn't fit. I didn't know how to appreciate you. I didn't know how to appreciate Devin. I didn't know how to appreciate anything. I didn't know how to appreciate a friend. And I had so many definitions of what everything's supposed to be, how it should be, and no one else understands it. And then Kendra came along.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I 1000% agree. Because of my drive, because of my ambition, because of all these different things, these positive things, these strengths, this beauty in the dream and going for it, I always understood something through all the hurt, through all the pain, through all the differences. I always understood something that they just didn't. But I can understand how being driven, being ambitious, having all these attributes can impose on the people around you if they're not getting on with the program. And that's a part that is missing, is that there's no accountability for them in Life as Larry. It's all me. And I'll own that. I'm okay with that. But if we were a group, no matter who I was or who I wasn't, what did you not do that you could have done to help make sure that this group was successful? See? And that's the conversation that's not really ever had. But take full advantage of the fact that in 2020, Larry does want to grow. He does want to learn from whatever you're saying. But at the same time, it wasn't just a me thing. It sounds like a sense of entitlement, or things were supposed to be easy. Nothing was easy for me. And that at this time, nothing is easy. I'm a teenager. Nothing's easy. But on a show called Life as Larry, we wouldn't really dig deeper, would we? Into others' faults and flaws in the process. We don't do that. We didn't get to do that. We wouldn't do that. So I'm taking all the jabs. Was this episode authentic? Yeah. But is it a true reflection of the lived experiences? No, it's only 1/3 of it. And it's not my truth right here. It's blame Larry for who he was and what he didn't do, or what he couldn't do, or what he didn't know. Someone else should have been there to save us from you. Think about that. Because that's what I'm getting from this. It's my life. I'm telling you what I got from it. It might not be what you're getting from it, from hearing it. This is what I got from it, and that's what matters. That's what matters. So I did grow. I grew in the sense of understanding how I was being looked at and how I was being experienced by the people around me. That's a burden that comes with being driven, ambitious, going for the, you got me? So there's completely uh I got Larry, and this is not against my niece. This is this is what it was like, period. No matter who it would be in this episode, um talking about the group, this is what you were going to get. And it would have been two people coming at me, and neither one of them would have ever said, but you know what? When you were writing songs, or when you were working with producers, when you were getting us into studios, when you were getting us in front of people, we were doing this. That's the part that's missing. And then so you would say, well, if it's Life as Larry, then we wouldn't talk about those things. But we had to stop this car. Get out. and expect the real damage. You had to have known that there was more to it than this. Right? We got a couple of thousands of views when this episode aired. And most of it was, the people who doxed me and who were doxing me trying to go and, prying to what they could take. But my vulnerability here is definitely real because look at me now. So I definitely was being vulnerable. I truly do love my niece. I respect my niece, and I just saw her recently, like 2 weeks ago, at a family um event. So she picked me up when she when she hugged me. Um, Being in person with her is always a beautiful thing. It's always mad about what? It's always smiles and laughs and like, girl, put me a drink. It's beautiful. And it's not like, oh, we could not do both. It's not like, oh, we could not be in profound intent and be uncle and niece. That made it even more beautiful because we bonded with music and all that. But what's missing from this conversation right here is the shared accountability. Remember, I asked, do you think that you all sometimes enabled me? What I mean by that is if I was so controlling, if I was all the things you saying, who were you? What are you not saying? What are you not doing? How are you not showing up in these moments that leaves me, another teenager, to be controlling? Was I controlling or was I taking on what you all weren't doing, what you all weren't able to do, what you all were not going to do? The music, I show up with producers, I get us into the studio. Did you say, hey, I wrote this? Hey, here is a track that I would really love us to record to. Hey, I've been doing some research. I've met someone. Let's get into this studio. Hey, here's a producer here that's wanting to work with us. No one was doing that. Okay, talk about it. Nobody else was doing that. Will I say that the drive and the ambition and the skill set that I had was overbearing at times? Hell yeah. Do I apologize about that? No. Because I wouldn't be Larry, I wouldn't be LaPret, I wouldn't be this person that I am. I am not going to allow anyone to take my strengths and the attributes that God blessed me with and turn them into negatives because it doesn't work for them or it doesn't work for something that I'm doing with them. You now have an obligation and responsibility, having encountered a person like me, to do the work to get to where I am so we can get somewhere together. If you're not where I am already, like, hello, let's be real. Family or not. And let's be honest about why we weren't 4 anymore and why we were 3. Let's keep that real. Let's keep that real. Why we became a trio and was no longer a quartet. So let's keep that real. And a lot of that had to do with because I brought my niece into the group. We heard Mizz Redz say, is this profound intent or is this Larry's group? It was both. And when you don't show up to do your part consistently, when you're not building with me, when you are only there to do a show, when you are only there to reap the benefit, and this is for all of them. When you're only reaping the benefit from what is done, and you're not always showing up to do what needs to be done, to have something to do, to get done in the first place, it's easy to look at me and call me controlling at 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. Easy, beasy. Easy. This commentary is not to undo this episode, but I want to be real, because at the time that this was shot, aired, or whatever you want to call it, I was in a very high sensitive vulnerability where you could get me to see your perspective over my own, because I wanted to grow that much. And one of the beautiful things about growing up is that we have this thing called retrospective and looking back in retrospect. And now I can grow even more and understand that, yeah, I was overbearing. Yeah, I was intense. Yeah, they took that as abuse. But at the end of the day, I was a teenager with no more power or authority than you. I did at some point say, hey, Devin, let me hear what you got, man. Like, we did that. But it's more to it than you just writing a song. There's more to it than you just, showing up to perform. Like, there was times where I'm working on music and I don't see you all until we're about to perform. Like, we're about to rehearse for something. So let's not forget, that is why Stick Around, which is out now on platforms, that is why Stick Around was never recorded in the studio. We have the Stick Around performance. If you look this up on YouTube, where we're performing it, I think we did Charles Hart Middle School. I think we did Anacostia High School in DC. We're performing that song, but you don't. Maybe it was just Charles Hart that we did Stick Around at, but we're performing that song. It's like 2008, 2009. But where's the music video? Where's the recorded track? Like, come on, let's just be for real. Let's just be for real. It wasn't just a me thing. I had my issues. I did not know how to wield my ambition and drive. Fine, I give you that. But I had it. And this is why we see the things that I would go on to do, right? Because I had that. I have it today. It is who I am. Whether anyone is listening or not, if it's in you, you will do it. And at some point, the following grows. People are listening. People are getting to understand who you are, what you stand for. And people will start to see, like, oh, he is a lot like me. Look at the imagery. So much is unsaid. There is truth in this episode coming from Mizz Redz. There is truth in this episode coming from me. But there is still a story here that is untold.
and I felt like I had a friend, but I always felt that I was missing the other half of me, which was the that bond and that love and that friendship that I had with my niece, and even that bond with Devin. So
Did when you, because you and Kendra are very close, have you, when Kendra
Remember, everything is always deflected, making issues out of me and people and things in my life to justify the perception of me. Sounds crazy to say it, right? Because you got to be a lunatic to make logic out of illogic. But think about what is really, really unfolding. It's never, I know I wanted to do this. I know at times I wasn't there for the group as I should have been. It's who's in your life. You grew up in a broken home. You have this friend. You're controlling. There should have been someone else mentoring us. All I hear is issues being made out of me over and over and over again. And that's Life as Larry.
say something to you,
mm-hmm.
she says it how? With a soft tone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus someone like me or Devin, you know.
I can't understand her damn accent sometimes, but the trick gets it out.
But she says it with she's new, she's different. You know, she's been around you so long, she knows you now. You know what I mean? She knew you that time in your life. So it's like I can listen to her because she, you know, she don't.
That was never the case. Remember, this is her perception of me and Kendra's relationship. And like I said, deflect. Let's say first, let's add to the list now. Now, Kendra is part of the reason why. Like, think about what's happening here.
I don't know what I went through, but I'm telling her the now what's going on. Then I take her advice. Versus me, Devin, watch you struggle, watch you do this. Not saying Kendra
watched me struggle and did not show up. Hello.
Didn't see you struggle, but it was a different type of struggle. You know what I mean? It was, I don't know if I could compare it, but it was just, you go to different struggles in your lifetime. And I'm pretty sure she was.
I will agree. It's a struggle that she didn't see. It was the struggle of being in that first home. Because Devin definitely saw that. Yeah. You sometimes live there with me in that. So I totally understand that. I'm sure she would understand that too. Yeah, like there she knows a different. She knows the Larry that was moving into adulthood.
Yeah.
You and Devin know that Larry that was a child that was trying to be a teenager.
Get what I'm saying right here. Understand why I say that, right? It goes back to everything I've been saying throughout my commentary so far, right? Everything. And this, I'm trying to break this down because this goes from being on live to being on Spotify. So if people aren't catching it right now, they will catch it when they get to play this in their own time. Think about what happens right there. What is said right there.
You sometimes live there with me in that. So I totally understand that. I'm sure she would understand that too. Yeah, like there she knows a different. She knows the Larry that was moving into adulthood.
Yeah.
You and Devin know that Larry that was a child that was trying to be a teenager.
Kendra would know a better side of me. When my niece and I, Mizz Redz, and Devin and I were in the group. We were teenagers, and I was judged for being a teenager by other teenagers who we were supposed to be sharing a common goal. Think about that. But you're judging me. I'm doing the most, you're doing little. Think about where I'm coming from with that. So when we tried to diss Kendra, we have to understand, well, yeah, Kendra saw me growing into adulthood after having dealt with you all in the group's mess. Think about that.
Trying to become a man.
It couldn't even do that right. I couldn't even be a damn teenager. Right. I'm a teenager living like I'm 60 years old. I couldn't even be a damn teenager. Right.
Like, you are who you are. You know what I mean? So she was who she was.
I don't know what the fuck she means right there.
Because when
I did miss it.
You saw it, but you didn't. You missed it. You know what I mean?
Who am I? Remember earlier in the episode, in the very beginning, she was like, have you figured out who you are? And she's like, Larry was in bondage and Larry's afraid to be who he is. And now it's you are who you are. So she was who she was. Again, it's always, and that just is not, this is, remember, she's representing the family, the full blown family dynamic here. So it's not just, this is my commentary. It's not directed at Mizz Redz per se personally, but she's representing a perspective, a shared perspective of me across my entire bloodline. No one else is ever doing anything to me. And whether I blame others or not, and I don't, it's almost like telling me to blame other people. And it's almost like, don't blame other people, but it's always like there's something about you, and this is why people have been the way they are. But there's something about people, and this is why you are the way that you are, right? And so, like parents, the titling of this episode is very sarcastic if you think about it in retrospect.
I feel like I feel like people can say the same about me too, though, right? I feel like
they could. They like, oh, Larry used to do this. Now keep your eye open because he gonna do this.
And people do that. But people do that now, huh?
I think people are scared of you. But
in what sense? Like, go get a gun and he about to fuck some shit up, or scared of me like,
oh, he about to give you some words and do some shit to you, like, and not kill you, not violent like that.
Thank you.
I don't think you've never been
I needed that to be cleared up for the lunatics.
Yeah, you've never been violent, like. But the crazy thing is that when you did to me, in a way, I was angry with you, but it helped me grow.
Okay, so what she's referring to here, she's not saying like how I treated her in the group or our experiences in the group. She's talking about something very personal that happened. And I think this was like 2011 or something, when we got into some type of unfortunate situation outside my parents' house. And it led to me turning to the justice system, because I'm not about to be out here fighting you. I'm not about to be out here, being in physical confrontations like that, especially with my niece. And after several times of getting me places, trying to fight me, like I said, this wasn't truly Larry, you're controlling. This was also her own issues. And even her mother, who is one of my three sisters, and her drama. And so we talking about like parents. Well, your mother is my sister, and the drama there spilled into you, and you never showed up how you should have always been showing up to be a part of something that you want to see succeed. So come on, let's talk about it. And so you get to the point where you feel like you want to approach me with physical confrontation a little more than often, when it shouldn't be at all. And so we end up in the court system. And if it hadn't been for me dropping, first of all, none of my family was on my side anyway. But if it hadn't been for me dropping the situation, then things were not going to look good for her. So it wasn't to hurt her, but it was to say like, hey, you can't be trying to fight me. And on top of that, I'm out here, I'm a candidate for public office at the time. I am, one of my songs is being covered in the city paper and some other publications at the time. I'm not about to be fighting you. And where is this coming from? Right? You can't be walking down the street. We're on the way to the studio, and you say, if you had a gun, you'll blow my brains out. What am I doing as at your same age that is that bad? In a music group. So there was issues there that have nothing to do with me, but everything to do with bullshit going on in the family. And that's what it is. That's what that is. Hello. And so you had to learn, like, you're not going to be putting your hands on me. I'm not about to be putting my hands on you. And at the time, I didn't go into this, and we didn't go into this because of me being a candidate for office at the time. And I'm sharing this right now because at this moment in my life, I am not looking forward to being a candidate for any office. I have my master's in public administration, law and public policy. I graduated with high distinction, a 3.97 GPA. I'm very qualified from experience, education, and life, just to hold some sort of capacity in the public sphere, in politics. I do want to be a legislator, but I really do not care right now to do anything of that. People being shot, right? President Trump, Charlie Kirk. You got the Democratic representatives that people showed up to their home and did X, Y, and Z. I mean, things are crazy right now. Do I want to see things get better? Hell yeah. But we got to calm down and cool off. And so I'm gonna let this ending play.
That's the crazy shit, because I do get angry. Like then it's like I build that shit up. I mean, oh,
but I grew,
and I think it hurt me because it's like, why would you do that to me? But it actually helped me grow. And then after I had Kehlani, I realized you can't be out here being angry like that.
So, like I said, there were things happening to me during this entire Profound Intent experience. Everyone was not always showing up. Everyone did not envision from a common place to reach a or accomplish a common goal. What we would do thereafter with our individual success, who knows and who cares? But as a group and as a family, things are easier said on me than the accountability it takes from all of us. All right, that's my commentary to the Like Parents Nugget episode from season 1. And I mean, it is what it is. This is not for people to say like, "Oh, you went through that entire episode and now 5 years later everything is different." Put yourself in my position. I'm running for office at this at the time that was filmed. And there is a desire to grow and to heal. You can't take that from me. And I'm not going to take that from myself. I'm not going to take that from this episode. But I do want to make sure it is understood. Sorry. Excuse me. That is rude. I do want to make sure that it is understood that while there are two sides to a story, there is a lived experience within a story. And so she told hers for the sake of my growth, for the sake of my relationship with my niece, for the sake of the legacy of Profound Intent. I took the accountability that I needed to take, but that means nothing if no one else is taking full accountability as well. And so until that happens, this is the way I feel about this. So yeah, there we go.
I build that shit up. I be like, oh,
But I grew.
you know, and I think it hurt me because it's like, why would you do that to me? But it actually helped me grow. And then after I had Kehlani, I realized you can't be out here being angry like that.
All right, so that's that. I'll leave that there.